Hi, I'm Terry Kolath. I'm here with Steve Lake. He is currently your mail courier a couple of days a week here at Shell Point. And he's going to do a Coffee with a Neighbor program in the Academy to talk about his life before Shell Point. Thanks for joining me, Steve.
Thank you for having me.
Well, we had a nice conversation one day when you were delivering our mail, and I found out that you worked in the Canadian military in logistics.
In logistics, yes, ma'am.
And I thought that was so interesting on many, many levels.
Yep.
So you're going to tell us about it. Give us a little idea today about what it was like to do that.
Well, it was awesome. My entire 25 years in the military, I loved every minute of it. I loved what I did. Logistics turned out to be my calling in life. I'm very good at it. Just, one of those things. I didn't know I was going to be, but I was always good with math and everything else, and it just worked into, it was very good in logistics. So I served 25 years, and the entire 25 years I was logistics the whole time.
All the way. So you grew up in Canada.
I did.
Where?
In London, Ontario.
London, Ontario.
Yep.
And tell us, what is logistics?
Well, basically, for the military, it's not always the same with civilian companies. And the easiest way for us to explain it was we basically called it cradle to grave. And what that means is we would purchase everything for the military. We would store everything for the military. We would distribute everything for the military. We would repair, or at least have a hand in getting it repaired. And we would also handle disposal of all things. For the military. So that's why we call it cradle to grave, because right from start to finish, we pretty much handled everything.
Interesting. What are some of the just a few of the things you would handle that we would find to be surprising? Are you talking food, weapons?
Everything.
Everything.
Everything. Absolutely everything.
How did you know to plan ahead what you were going to need?
Well, we had historic values from different operations, different missions, different training that we had done in the past, and so then that's exactly what we would base our needs on. It wasn't always 100% correct, especially if you were going into a brand new mission. Sure. But as I said, you would plan from previous missions. You would bring as much as you possibly think you would need, and then anything that was either forgotten or missed could start to be brought in on the resupply missions later on after your initial setup.
Did you go to any of these missions?
Absolutely.
Like a couple of them?
Well, I was in Honduras in 1990, and that was the end of the Contra Sandinista War. And that was one of those examples where we were Roto Zero. We were first ones in. So we had to plan for, we didn't know for sure everything we would have there available. So we had to plan for all of that stuff. And then as soon as we got there, we had to literally set up everything. We had no housing, we had no warehouses.
Oh my gosh.
We were on the airfield. We started setting up tents and sea containers, and that's what we started working out of. And it's just, you try to plan for every eventuality, but it doesn't always work.
Then the troops come in, and they're just counting on you having everything already.
Exactly. And then the troops come in, and they want to make sure that they're ready to go.
So I kind of think that everywhere the United States was, Canada was there, a partnership with us.
Pretty much.
In many places. So you must have been to some interesting places in 25 years.
Absolutely. Well, since, let's say, the Second World War, we've been involved in pretty much every mission or war, let's say, that the U.S. has been involved in. Probably one of the glaring ones that we were not involved in was the Second Gulf War. We had almost zero involvement in that, other than embedded military personnel, which is we always have exchange officers. So like we'll have, a captain with the, airborne regiment or something. And they were the only ones that really set foot on ground on the second one. But pretty much every mission since Second World War, every war we've been involved in. One, Vietnam, a lot of people don't realize, but Canadians were in Vietnam in the early stages of it.
Sure. Well, that's fascinating. I had no idea that you would be a part of the planning and the implementation of everything the troops would need wherever they went.
Pretty much.
And in Canada also, and all the bases?
Everywhere. Everywhere, all across, resupplied all bases all across Canada, stations, small outposts and everything. We have a base in Alert, which is northern Canada. It's called Alert, but it's on Baffin Island. It's the most northern, at the time, I think that's changed now, but it was the most northern populated place in the world. But I think that changed with the newest base that the Russians just built. They just built a new base, but we used to be the farthest north military.
So imagine the various terrains, the various climates that you had to prepare for. Well, this is going to be really interesting.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you, shortly after I came back from the Middle East one time, within a couple of weeks, I was in Thule, Greenland, doing a resupply mission for Alert. So that's going from extreme heat to extreme cold in a very short order.
Oh, and now here you are at Shell Point.
And now here I am.
Well, I hope you'll join us as we have some coffee and a cookie and spend time with Steve Lake to find out about his very interesting career, things most of us have probably never even thought about. And you'll be glad you were there.